Welcome to Top of the Line. This is the podcast version of our YouTube show. New episodes every Monday and Friday where we talk about audio and hi-fi related themes.
If you have any requests for a future episode, send us an email, totl@abyssheadphones.com. Douglas is joining us today because Eric is on vacation. I was thinking it'd be cool to do like a black and white movie, where like no voice or anything. It's just like
Just some text.
right.
Yeah.
And we could do all this like
Right.
hand waving and maybe throw some headphones around or something like that.
It would kind of reminds me of making like thumbnails.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make a silent movie someday soon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can
The
run it
whole
at
movie.
what's the frame rate
11.
on
That'd be like 11 or 12. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be brutal. On a big screen, that'd be really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably have the technology in this building to bring Charlie Chaplin back to life.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
How would we?
Have you guys dug into that?
Well, I don't know. We got
Anything engineering
reanimating
tricks there?
people?
Yeah.
We got some test tubes in the back. We could throw
We
some
do
shit
have
in there and see
some,
what
Yeah.
happens.
High voltage.
Yeah. High voltage.
Well, we're gonna need some of his original DNA. That might be the tricky part.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You guys got connections.
That is
That'd be
illegal
something.
though.
Yeah.
It is
it?
illegal. Yeah.
I just send it over to China or Russia.
You could do that.
Yeah. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong.
Everything's legal if you don't get caught.
That's
Yeah, well,
right.
that's absolutely true.
This is derailed. We haven't even started
yeah,
yet.
quite derailed.
Yeah. All right. On that note, we've
Yeah.
got a customer named Nicholas. I feel like saying Nikolai.
Nikolai.
And he's apparently a beginner at this headphone game, and he wanted to know, his budget is around $1,000 to $1,500, and to sum this up, he wanted to know what should he invest in for a first headphone? Should he do, at that price point, would be an upper end dynamic headphone, or should he do, or what he called an upper end dynamic headphone, or
Right.
should he do a lower end planar to get started? And I guess it's a pretty good question, because if you don't know the difference between
Yeah.
the two.
It's funny because dynamics kind of start to cap out around that range. And there are some cheaper planars, but you think like your decent planars, they start around there.
Yeah.
You know? So it kind of goes back and forth. I can see why that would be, something to sit on your curiosity at the beginning.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we're obviously biased here.
Yeah, we do like planars.
Yeah.
I use a bunch of different things. You guys know that. Just
Sure.
all over the board. A lot of the cheaper stuff too, to trying things out. But I don't know. There's a lot of, at that price point, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages to both.
That's true.
But even if you look at the really cheap stuff, people start even like the super like few $100 stuff. People start that, they get a taste of something nice, then they start looking at the nicer things.
Right.
It always goes up.
Right.
So once you hear something nice, you always end up going up. So my first thought process is as soon as somebody tries like a nice planar in that range, they're probably going to want to start going higher.
Me too. I agree. And a lot of people think they're not going to do that up front.
Mm-hmm.
Say, no,
well, that's true.
I'll stick with this forever type
Right.
thing. That never happens. That's like saying I'm going to own the same car till I die.
That
But-
has happened.
Someone
people
will do that. Yeah.
Some people
Someone,
do
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
You're
That's
right.
why I think about a lady who bought a car brand new in 1953 and still drives it.
Really? Wow.
But
Yeah.
Talk
No, it
about
happens.
value.
yeah, a modern cheap car is probably going to be better though.
Yeah.
Well, I know of a guy that bought a Model T new, and he had it his whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Aside from the outliers though.
Right.
I bought a pair of headphones like 10 years ago and then it's just been like nonstop since then.
Yeah.
They just piled up and I'm just gone up the ladder and up the ladder and up the ladder and seeing how far does this thing go? If you're starting in that range, you're skipping a lot of the stuff in the super low end, which
That is
is
true.
nice.
Yeah. It's a good
but
start.
there's still there's a lot of the ladder to climb from there.
Mm-hmm.
So at around $1,000, $1,500, something in that range, the dynamics there are pretty good, but it depends on what you're looking for.
And the other thing you got to consider is the electronics involved too, because it's not just about the headphone.
Right.
But most of the dynamics are higher efficiency. You don't need as much power, so you can get away with lesser stuff. Where a planar tends to want a bit more juice, even though the lower end planars tend to be fairly efficient too. So, you can get away with more stuff. But it's something to consider. You're not going to be running these with 50 milliwatts or directly out of a laptop. So you need some amplification to really appreciate a headphone at that price range. It's not just a headphone at that point.
It makes me wonder what he's spending on an amp.
Yeah, I don't think it was stated. So
Yeah.
or if he even considered it.
I'm just gonna make the assumption that if he's spending $1,000 on a headphone or more, he's probably spending like $500-$600 on an amp, something like that. I'm just gonna make that assumption.
Agreed.
Yeah. And at that, like you'll probably get about as far as you can get with a dynamic somewhere around there. But if you're looking for like detail, bigger stage, things like that, the cheap Planars are pretty good. I mean, they'll get you into it.
Well, I think the bigger difference is you just the electronics would be the biggest difference because you go in two different directions. So if you started with a cheaper planar, you'd probably have a more powerful amp and everything to begin with, and then so you'd be on a different path altogether.
That's
really.
true. Yeah, you'd already have a good start going that way, where the dynamic you'd kind of be in the weeds, so to speak, if you just go with a $100 sub $100 amplifier. So
So would start your journeys will start differently. Well, and end differently too.
Yeah.
I think I can see where you're going with that. If you go with the planar at that point, you have an upgrade path.
Right.
If you go with the dynamic at that point, you're kind of there.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Yeah, you kind of it's a limiting factor, so to speak, because you tend not to get the upper end power and of the electronics required. So I guess it's tough. I mean, it is tough. It's because that's a pretty good. If you think about a budget of $1,000-$1,500, it's a pretty good amount of money. To get started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The real suggestion should be to try these, because if you haven't really heard a planar versus a dynamic, like A being like in the same room,
right,
a similar system, you might not understand the differences, but there are, because planars tend to be do openness. They tend to be quicker, more open sounding. Well,
it's a larger driver.
Yeah, right.
You just there's a bigger thing next to your ears putting sound out. It's going to make a bigger sound.
It's more of a wall of sound,
right,
versus more of a constricted.
Yeah, not like a point source. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, some people. I mean, if you don't have any experience listening to anything, like a speaker system or whatever, maybe you're just not familiar with that. So maybe it's not a good idea to try both, because at first you might not know which way to go, even if you hear them. Because your brain isn't accustomed to the difference in acoustics between the two. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't picture myself never listening to a good system. It's been too long.
Well, that's the thing. I was just trying to think of like what the first time I heard a planar, and I don't even know when it was.
Yeah.
So I can't even.
Yeah,
say.
I don't know where if if the wow factor would exist if you've never used a headphone before. I'm not sure.
The first time I ever heard a planar, it was a very cheap planar. It was like $150 or something, but it was like the OG HE400, I think, or something like that. And I was coming from like a $100 dynamic, and those are similar ballpark price. And I remember going from that and hearing that planar for the first time, and I was like, I can't describe what the sound is I'm hearing, but it's different. I like the direction it's going, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was.
Yeah.
And it took a long time hearing that, and going into the nicer ones and being like, okay, I can kind of nail this down now.
That is true. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do know. And it was probably the first time you heard one too. Would be at like an early Can Jam in Denver.
Yeah.
And we heard probably it was an LCD2. That was
it
probably
an
one of the.
LCD2? Well, we were already working on our headphone by then.
Yeah, but we didn't really, hear a lot of gear and stuff at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just walking around, and it was probably the first time we heard them. And I remember being like, "Wow, that was cool. That was a cool experience with the mono box."
Yeah, I think planars right at that price point kind of give you that wow factor.
Yeah,
but it will make you want to upgrade.
Yeah.
So I think like that's probably our answer for Nicholas.
I think so.
Yeah, Nicholas, if you want to buy something and never upgrade, probably go dynamic. But if you want to like really kind of start going into the rabbit hole and see how far things go, you should probably go with the planar.
Yeah.
Well, it's a deep hole.
It's a very deep rabbit hole.
Run, rabbit, run.
Enough that we're like, I don't even know, probably 100 and something episodes deep on this, and it's almost all answering questions about planars.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't know how many episodes we've made now.
I don't know.
I think it's over 150 now.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I don't know. We lost count. No one's counting. So, Nicholas, hopefully we answered your question as best as possible. Good luck on your journey. It'll be a blast. Everyone, give us a thumbs up if you like our videos, and by all means, please subscribe Just click subscribe down at the bottom. And don't forget that if you have any questions you want us to answer, TOTL@abyssheadphones.com. Take care, everyone.